members, welcome back. It is July, and for some people, July means dry July. Not for me, because as you're watching this video, I am going to be in Champagne, hosting our insiders tours to the Champagne region, and of course, being club members. We have a massive waiting list to join me in Champagne, get behind those closed doors, but you have first access to the tours and a discount off the tours, so do not forget that. But for others, you don't have to go cold turkey during July, but we can lighten our load, we can change our preferences, and we can be a little bit healthier in our choices. So the topic for this month is healthier styles of champagne. We'll be looking at one champagne that is certified biodynamic and organic, so no nasties, no chemicals, using the principles of Rudolf Steiner to make a healthier version of champagne, a holistic version of champagne. And then we're looking at a champagne which is zero dosage, so no added sugar whatsoever, two of the healthiest styles of champagne. Now, for me personally, in terms of the choices that we have in wine, I do truly believe that champagne is one of the healthier choices. We are moving more and more towards organics, biodynamics, and natural winemaking techniques as a whole within the region of Champagne. We're also tending towards lower additions of sugar at the dosage stage, so the sweetening, the balancing out of acidity. So on the whole, we are healthier in our wine of Champagne than we've ever been before, but we're looking at two perfect examples of that this month: biodynamics and organics, and a pure champagne with no added sugar. So the first house that we're introducing to you, all our lovers and our connoisseurs, is the Maison Devoe. Now, I think the Maison Devoe wines are very much underrated. Some of the best examples of the Devoe Cuvées are from the Cuvee D range. They've got a couple of ranges within the house. They've got the classic, the Cuvee D, the Devoe range, and then they also make a still red Coteau Champenois, a Rosé de Rissy, which is a still rosé champagne. It's a particular category of wine from the Champagne region. And that is because, as a maison, they are located in the Côte de Bar. Now let's look at the region of Champagne for a moment. From north to south, we've got the Regal North, where you have the two main towns of Reims and Épinay. And then we have the Côte de Bar, which is down in the south. Now we're opposite hemispheres. The further we go north in our side of the world, the warmer we get. The further south we go in Champagne, the warmer we get. This is a region that really focuses and specializes on Pinot Noir. We get big, juicy, ripe red Pinot Noir grapes from this part of the world. Maison Devoe do this really well. They've got a Blanc de Noir. They have specialist champagnes that lead with that Pinot Noir grape. The history of the Maison, we're dating back to the mid of the 19th century, so we're founded in 1846, originally with two brothers, Jules and Auguste Devoe, who ran the house for a period of time. But after the brothers, we had a long line of widows. Note the word veuve. Veuve is in Veuve Clicquot, and Veuve Devoe. Veuve means widow. We had 3 generations of women at the helm of the house, with Claude starting at just 39 years of age and really taking the house to the next level, to a point they were making quite big volumes, and 75% of their champagnes were being exported around the world. So they were having significant success. Then we come down the line a little bit further, and in actual fact, the last heirs of the Maison didn't have any children. This is where we have a change of ownership. The house was then passed down to the growers and formed a cooperative. It is located in the Côte de Bar, as I said. There's a group of growers who now own the house. There's a lot of pride, there's a lot of passion. Actually, if you ever have the chance to visit the Devoe house, the estate is truly magnificent. They have the most beautiful manor house, some of the most beautiful plots of grapes. It really is one to visit. And I think the wines from the classic through to the Cuvée D and beyond are of a really exceptional quality. The champagne that's coming out to all of our lovers and all of our connoisseurs from Maison Devoe is the Cour de Nature. This is a fairly new release of the house, and it is a champagne that's been certified which is quite an extensive process. It's not just saying, hey, we're organic, hey, we're biodynamic. This is a certification process. It's done by the officials within France and the Demeter Organization for Biodynamics or Biodynamics. It is a completely natural wine. So it's 100% Pinot Noir coming down from that region of the Côte d'Ivoire. We get a lot of ripeness. We've got beautiful red juby fruit. We are, from an organic perspective, abstaining from the use, the addition of any chemicals, any fertilizers, anything that's artificial to the wine. Just on that note, you can still add sulfites. So sulfites are a natural copper compound used to preserve the wine, but in this wine used in very, very low quantities just to stabilize the wine. Secondly, when we go from biodynamics, we can step up again into, when we go from organic, step up again into biodynamics. Biodynamics is really looking at the vineyard as a cosmic whole. We are looking at the lunar cycles, when we plant, when we reap, when we tend, when we sow, when we prune, when we harvest, all working towards a particular lunar calendar, thinking about the vineyard as a cosmic whole. We don't want to eliminate anything. We don't want to remove anything. We want to work as a total entity, as a total being, really drawing on the principles of Rudolf Steiner from the 1970s. And anything can be biodynamic if you're growing it. So we're talking, vineyards, we're talking fruit, we're talking food. We can work towards the principles of biodynamic, which is a healthier way of creating a product. So this is a beautiful bottle. 4 years in the cellar, 5 grams dosage, so again, very light. We've got this extra brut quality to the wine. When I put my nose in the glass, but I can still see that it's classic Devoe. Devoe has a richness in the wines. The classic range and then the Cuvee D, we're going from 3 years on the classic and 4 to 5 years on the Cuvee Ds. We've actually got 4 years of aging on this wine. A really deep golden color, which is reflective of the 100% composition of the Pinot Noir. There's a biscuity richness to the wine. There's a sort of croissant, toffee richness, but settling down, once the aroma settles into the glass, we've got apricot, we've got pear. But what I love about the finish is that it's dry, it's saline, it's crisp. It's still got volume, it's very silky on the palate, but there's a linearity to it, there's a cleanness to it, and a very fresh finish. You can tell that the wine has been really moved from vine to wine with a freshness, with a focus, and with a purity. To all of our connoisseurs this month, and look, ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, it is the most popular level at the club, so most of our members are connoisseur level. If you're not on connoisseur level, step up a notch, because you really do get to see the full expression of the club. And to all our connoisseurs this month, you will need no introduction to the Maison of Pol Roger. Now, just a note on this. We often think about brands as being brands, but they're not. They're people. Pol was a young man. He came from a long line of lawyers. So his father was a lawyer, his grandfather was a lawyer, but that's not the path that he wanted to follow. He started as a wine salesman in the Champagne region and eventually bought a little plot of land on the Avenue de Champagne, one of the most famous avenues, one of the most beautiful avenues in Épernay in Champagne. This is still where the Maison resides today, and the cellars now, deep underground, a beautiful facility if you do have the opportunity to visit. Pol was a very passionate young man, and he really did have a vision for his vineyard. He had a beautiful daughter. He had a relationship with Sir Winston Churchill. Of course, this really put Pol on the map, and I often have this internal debate about whether Sir Winston Churchill really thought the Pol Roger champagnes were the finest, or whether he was enamored by Pol's daughter, Odette, who was classically beautiful in every sense of the word. She met him at a conference in Paris once, and I think Mr. Churchill may have fallen in love with the woman and all the wine. It was the vintage 28 that he tasted, which was exceptional by any stretch of the imagination. But Pol Roger is a mid-tier family estate. They're still family owned. They have wines of pedigree. Of course, they have the royal warrant on the bottle. And this is awarded by Queen Elizabeth, although going forward, I'm assuming it's going to be awarded by Mr. King Charles. A royal warrant signifies that the quality of the wine, the consistency of the house is suitable for the royal family and therefore everybody else. This is the pure, but the white label, which is the flagship of the house, was served at Diana's wedding to Charles, was served at Kate and William's wedding, was served at Meghan and Harry's wedding. So a champagne house that really does sit within the royal pedigree of champagne houses. And they honestly have the most consistent quality, and I've seen it from the beginning of my time in Champagne 17 years ago all the way through to today. An outstanding maison. So the champagne that's coming out to all of our connoisseurs is called Pure, and that would give you an indication as to the wine. It is without any additional dosage whatsoever. So it's a brut nature or a zero dosage, where at that point of taking the yeast out of the bottle, so where we are extracting the dead yeast from the bottle, it's the last opportunity for the winemaker to have any influence over the wine. And at this point in time, while we're extracting the yeast, the cork is out or the metal cap off the top is off. Normally at this point in time, we add a little liquor de dosage, which is a little bit of sugar mixed with some base wine that gives the winemaker the chance to sweeten the wine and balance acidity. Not so in this cuvee. It is a zero addition of sugar, so the yeast comes out, cork goes in, back to the cellar to mind its thoughts, and then it's released to us. It is the same cepage, the same composition as the white label. We have roughly a third Chardonnay, a third Pinot Noir, and a third Pinot Meunier. You can see that the wine has a golden tinge to it, so we see Chardonnay playing its part. It's certainly a lot lighter in color than the 100% Pinot Noir on the Cuvee from Devoe. But we have a similar composition and complexity of style to what we're used to seeing, but just a crisper, saline finish on the wine. It's aged for an extra year, allowing the wine to gain some complexity. I would suggest that the grapes are left just a little bit longer on the vine to achieve some maturity. And what you get is a wine with a very, very fresh finish. We have a very dry, crisp mineral finish. Super clean fruit. Pure is a really good name for the wine because you're seeing the expression exactly the way the winemaker wants it to be. We've got orchard fruit, we've got apple, we've got some white flower. It is beautifully balanced on the palate. It's not dry. Now this is the thing that I think is really interesting. It doesn't feel austere. You can tell that there's been some time in the cellar for the acidity to temper and the complexity of the wine to go up. I think that this is a great option for you people who are thinking, okay, I'm going to be a little bit healthier for dry July, but not abstaining completely. And I also think it's an amazing opportunity for you to see the way the grapes are intended to be. It is stainless steel. There's 20 to 30% reserve wine. There's malolactic fermentation in the wine. So we've got a little bit of age, both in the time and in the reserve. We've got a bit of roundness coming through from the Malo transformation, but again, a purity, a crisp, clean wine shows you exactly how good the grapes can be. And for the winemaker, there's nowhere to hide. He has to get this wine spot on or it won't be perfect for you in the bottle or in the glass. So for everybody this month who is not quite abstaining, but maybe being a little bit more health focused, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Interesting working in the champagne business and in the wine business, you'll note that I don't often make jokes about alcohol. And I'm actually really conscious more these days about people choosing to abstain from alcohol, and I think that's really healthy, it's very respectful. I've even got someone coming with me to Champagne this year who doesn't drink any alcohol whatsoever. I had someone join me last year who doesn't drink any alcohol whatsoever. So you can still enjoy life without the need to overindulge, and you'll see that I don't make references to excessive consumption, but I do think as a nation, as a world, more conscious on our mental health. I think we should be treating alcohol as a pleasure without an overindulgence, and I really do feel that way. For those of you who are abstaining this month, and credit to you, save your wines for next month. A little bonus for everybody this month, you'll see a bottle of Antipodes water that's coming out as a gift from me to you, to everybody in the club this month. Antipodes water is the most natural water in the world. It's coming from a water source in New Zealand. It's considered pH and mineral perfect. It is completely carbon neutral. So there is, including getting the bottle to you in Australia, they're completely carbon offset. The glass, the production, the manufacturing, the shipping, everything. The company has an incredible focus on sustainability and natural production of their water. And this is considered the most perfect water for cleansing the palate whilst you are drinking champagne. So a great way for you to cleanse the palate in between your sips of champagne. So that's our little gift from us to you this month while they're on the theme of natural water. And I do encourage you to look up the history and the story of Antipodes. It really is quite extraordinary. So, ladies and gentlemen, a very natural month. We've got a biodynamic wine, we've got an organic wine, and we've got a wine with no added sugar, plus your beautiful bottle of natural Antipodes. For those of you imbibing this month, do it gracefully, do it naturally. And for those of you that are holding your wines for next month, there is no judgment here. I will be returning from Champagne very soon, and I'll be back in August with another amazing episode. Please note that while I'm in Champagne, I'm going to be sourcing some exceptional champagnes for the club for the rest of the year. So look out, folks. We've got some incredible champagnes on the way. We'll see you next time. The champagne that's coming out from Maison Devoe to all of our lovers and all of our connoisseurs is the Coeur du... I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember what it's called. Coordinator. Fuck, Kyla. To all of our lovers and our connoisseurs, I haven't eaten and now I've had 2 glasses of champagne. Fuck balls. Spin the bottle, that's what they all say. Keys in the bowl.
Amazing.
Okay, we can do this again. Coordinator. Right.
Okay. Anyway, 3.